There are many myths about what artists and comic artists are and what they do. Many people think that you have to be a trained artist to make a comic, or that everything you do as an artist will be fun. That all artists are bundles of imagination and inspiration, and from birth you could see their talent. In most cases, none of these are true. Artists' personalities, traits, and art styles are so different depending on who you talk to. Hopefully by the end of the documentary, Eric will have explained what it's truly about and what it's truly like to be an artist.
Hello, my name is Eric Kim. I am a comic artist and illustrator from Toronto, Ontario. Pleased to meet you.
Okay, now let's get to know Eric.
I got glasses when I was 16. I hated them. I hated my glasses because I thought they made me look stupid.
I'm getting glasses sometime this weekend.
Glasses are fine. I was wrong, ultimately. Had I kept my glasses, I'm sure that I would have looked fine. Glasses and braces are fine. Glasses and braces are cool. But yeah, I hated my glasses when I was 16. I thought they made me look like a nerd. And I hated it because I didn't want to look like a stereotypical Asian guy with glasses that was going into maths and science. That really bothered me. I used to have a cat. I had a dog. Like, my sister had a dog, and she named him Terminator. And he was like this tiny pug. He was loud, and he peed everywhere. And he was the worst dog ever. And he peed on my books. He peed on my comic books. He peed on my floor. He peed on my rug. He peed on my drawings. He peed on my art materials. He peed on everything. He was the worst dog ever. And I liked him. He was a nice dog. My favorite food. My favorite food is this Korean dish called kalbi, that is marinated beef, and it's like, I think it's like rib or side rib, but it's like cut into slices. It's really nice, and it's marinated with soy sauce, sugar, sesame oil, green onions, and onions. It's put together really nicely, left overnight, and then fried up on the barbecue really fast, and it tastes friggin' great. I say friggin'? Whatever.
Yes.
All right. Comic art is easy. Making comics is easy for me. It's work for other people. Being on stage, public speaking, that's exhausting. I can't do it. And I can't deal with all of the hobnobbing and schmoozing and all this other
English,
stuff.
please.
Oh, you know, like,
The drama?
yeah, being like, being a famous movie star and being like, oh, hello, how are you doing? Oh, I loved you in that thing, it was amazing. Oh, you know, it's, oh my god. Therefore, my girlfriend, the worst girlfriend I've ever had. Powerful, domineering. There's no regard for public safety, just the worst. Really abusive. I don't know. Big camera shy. I don't know. Dishonest. Just all kinds of things. I don't think I like him. I think he's probably the worst. That's how I feel.
Now that we've gotten to know Eric a little bit better, let's get his opinions on life as an artist. Why did you become an artist?
I became an artist because I found that it was probably the thing that I enjoyed doing most and probably the thing that I was best at. And I found that I tried like a number of different things, and I found that I was either terrible or very disinterested in almost all of them. And so that's why.
Do you enjoy being an artist?
I really, really do. I have a lot of fun. I find that it's well suited to my temperament because I'm very project oriented. I'm not a 9 to 5 work, steady work, just gotta work sort of person. I'm like a person that works towards a deadline, finishes that deadline, and then I'm okay with it. I've accomplished something, and it's something else that I can, be proud of.
What's your favorite part about your job?
I like that it changes every day. no matter what, it's always different. The subject matter is different, or I have to go to different parts of the city, or I have to go to different parts of the world. Uh, Things like that, that's always going to be appealing. I mean, admittedly, when I'm going to, like, say, Chicago for a comic convention, it's not going to Chicago the city, it's going to Chicago's convention center in Rosemount, which is not as interesting or appealing. But the pizza tastes the same anyways.
Do you think anyone could be an artist? Why or why not?
That's a good question. I think that a lot of different people can be artists. The most important thing, I think, is more or less like, if you have something to say, you probably can be an artist. You know, like, there is this one book written by this woman who is a schizophrenic, and she had written a book about her experiences about being in different mental institutions and all the rest. And it's a very challenging book. It's very difficult. Not difficult to read. It's just difficult subject matter. And the thing is I don't necessarily know if she was a trained artist, but her experiences led her to feel compelled to write this down. You know, so it's like that with comics, especially. It's just people come from all walks of life. They have experiences that they have to get off their chest, and they write them down, or they have ideas that they have to get out of their head, and that ends up translating into a really wonderful book. You know, I think people can be comic artists. I'm not sure if they can necessarily be other parts in art, but there's nothing saying that they can't try.
What is the absolute worst project that you worked on?
Wow. Confidentially, I think. Well, maybe not confidentially. I guess publicly, because this is going to be on YouTube. The worst project I was involved with, I think personally, it was Degrassi. I did not like that project. I had a really hard time with it. My editor got moved from that project after, like, in the middle of production, so that was really difficult. It happened right over the Christmas break. That was really difficult. The project started right at the tail end of Love as a Foreign Language. So as I was ending one series, Degrassi came along just before that series ended, so there was, like, overlapping deadlines, which was the worst. I felt really bad about that. And then what happened? Then I got into a contract dispute for the end of Degrassi after I'd handed all my work in, and that turned into a real mess. I don't think I was late with the project. They think I was late with the project. It was like a whole thing. I ended up getting basically ripped off for $2,000 on it, and then, and that just sort of started, I think, what was going to be probably a bit of an anxiety issue when it came to working with large corporations. It was not fun. Because everything in comics had been fun up until then. You know, deadlines are fun, and working with people is fun, and, you know, all this other stuff is fun. Suddenly dealing with publishers that really don't, that are just, I don't know how to say it, terrible? They were terrible, and they sucked. And then it was like, okay, I get that this is a job, but now this is a job that I hate, you know? And that was probably the worst that things ever got, at least with publishing comics. And that kind of sucks too, because, like, people really recognize Degrassi in the name, but I feel like it just wasn't the right spot for me.
Would you recommend being an artist to someone who is thinking about it as a career choice?
It's a really difficult career. It's difficult because it's powered pretty much entirely by your willpower. So you have to be really tenacious. But I think that once you have a career started, once you're going, then it's easier to keep going, you know? I would recommend it if you want to do it, you know? Mm-hmm. But there is nothing saying that you have to remain there.
What do you find the most difficult part of being an artist?
That's a real poser. It's a difficult thing about being an artist. It's mostly practical stuff. It's really dumb, you know? So it's like, I have to manage my time, or I have to make meals, or I have to just generally take care of myself. My hair is really long, and it's not because it's by design, it's because I just have no time. So I tend to be really lazy about things that other people tend to care about. On the other hand, I make so much headway into doing all these different projects that I don't really care about anything but the project that I'm working on. It's really easy to get obsessed. So, trying to manage my obsessions is a really hard thing. Sorry, was that the question? I totally
Yeah.
spaced out.
No, I think it was.
All right.
What would you say is the easiest part?
About being an artist?
Yeah.
Oh. The easiest thing is going with the ideas that I have in my head, or creating, staying creative. I like that, I like staying creative, and I like interacting with people. I like drawing because it comes easily to me. It's fluid. It's not like public speaking. I'm bad at public speaking, and I'm bad at staying focused or being energetic. That's not really what I'm like. What I'm like is I just draw, and I like it. It's very simple. The relationship with the paper is very, I like that. Talking in front of people is embarrassing and awkward, and there's like a million adjectives I could use, but it's just whatever, It's not natural. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier how you found it really easy to obsess over projects.
Yes.
What's one that you remember really, really getting into?
The one that I got into really, really hard. Actually, the one project that I got into really, really hard was when I was I think I was 19 or 20, And it was this story called Big City, and I just kept it in my head for I think a decade or so. I still come back to it, really faintly, But for the longest time, that was my sole purpose, and it was just to keep coming back to that, try and recreate it, make it better, and make it bigger. And it got so big that it basically exploded in my head. It's too large to commit to paper, and it's nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
What do you think of that art that sells it'll be blue stripe, yellow stripe, blue stripe that sells for over $1 million?
I don't mind. I think it's fine. I think abstractions from everyday life are important because they recontextualize what it is that we take for granted, and that's important. Being able to see things in a different light, being able to take in new ideas, is very important, and I think it's an inherent trait in all of art, whether it's commercial or fine art. Haha.
Nice. Just to wrap this up, do you have any tips for any aspiring artists?
A person once asked me this question, I think 2 years ago, at a Toronto Comic Arts Festival, or at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival, and he was from Spain or something. And I told him that persistence is the most important thing that a person can have. But I'm starting to wonder if maybe persistence isn't the most important thing. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the most important thing is to pick up and start projects that you believe in and finish them to the best of your ability. Maybe that's the most important thing a person can do. And maybe that takes persistence, but persistence isn't the most important thing a person can have. Maybe it's just conviction, belief, and sticking to it. Sorry, guy from Spain. I'm just revising my answer.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.